Hey everybody, Sean Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and I am currently walking towards a bookstore in Foley, Alabama. This is like near the beach, like near Gulf Shores in Foley, Alabama. So it is called the Foley Book Exchange. We've been to this bookstore one time before. It was like a few years ago, so it'll be interesting to kind of go and take a look, see what I can find, and we'll see if I can find any goosebumps, anything else, shivers, all those sorts of things I like to look for, but we'll see what we can find. So let's go take a look. Oops, sorry. Hey everyone, I'm finally sitting down, ready to go through all the books that I got in Foley Book Exchange in Foley, Alabama. It's actually kind of interesting. There's not a ton of used bookstores in the Gulf Shores, Alabama area. Foley Book Exchange is one of the biggest ones, and we actually overheard one of the employees talking about the fact that that is one of the biggest bookstores in the area that is a used bookstore. There's a Barnes & Noble somewhere nearby, and there's also a Books A Million somewhere in there too, but there's not any other used bookstores as big as the Foley Book Exchange. So let me show you everything I got. So starting off, I got a few Smallville books. So Smallville was a TV show about Clark Kent, aka Superman, back in the early 2000s, and this book is called Strange Visitors. They made a whole book series, I believe, of about 8 books that are all kind of this like mass market paperback size. They're all like around 200 to 300 pages or so, just under 300. And each one of these books is a standalone story that is not based on a TV episode of the show Smallville. So each one is its own storyline, which is kind of exciting. It's not just a rehash of an episode that was on television. So this one is Strange Visitors. Kind of sort of like some weeping angels back there. I don't know, we'll see what happens. And then this one is Dragon. I don't know what number books these are, but this one is Dragon. This one is called Hauntings. These are all in pretty good shape too, which is awesome. And then this one is called Shadows. And this one I actually had for a while. I had actually given it to a bookstore when we were moving from one state to another state, so it was a long story, getting rid of some books. So this one was a book I had actually unhauled, and then I decided, I saw it in the whole set, and I thought, you know what, I want to get that one again. So here it is, Shadows. It's a Smallville book. I think this is book number 5 in the series. And then I'm pretty sure this is the last one, Who Done It? And this one's awesome and has Lex Luthor on the cover. So these are all, this one's in really nice condition actually. I don't even know if this one's been read. The spine is not cracked at all. And then moving on from Smallville to some other books, I was super excited. I've always heard about this book, and I love a bunch of books by the same author, but I've never read any other ones that besides Danger at the Fair and Terror at the Zoo, and I think Horror at the Haunted House is called, but this one is Nightmare Mountain by Peg Keard. I love her books. They're always so adventurous. They're a little spooky sometimes. And this one I've heard of, but I've never read it. And I thought, I saw this cover, and right now when I'm filming this, it is Old School April, and this was so Old School April to me, this cover. I just really loved it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to pick that one up because I've always wanted to read it. So here it is. And then I found a very interesting series I'd never heard of from the 1990s. This one is a Christian book series, and it came out around that time of Goosebumps, and I think I've just discovered another Goosebumps knockoff Christian book series in the line of heebie-jeebies and spine chillers. This one is called Tales from the Bayou, and this one is Marcy and the Monster of the Bayou by Betty Hager. So I'm really interested to read these. There's 4 of them. Each one has kind of a spooky vibe to it. And I see that maybe crocodile back here. We'll see what that is exactly. But I'm super intrigued because this came out in 1994. I believe this is book number 4 in the series. So I'm really intrigued to read it. It's not that long, and it's kind of a different format size than a Goosebumps book. So we'll see how this one is. I'm excited to read this one. And then this was so interesting. This is a fantasy series from the 1980s that I had never heard of before. And after I started doing some research, I thought, I can't believe I just paid $2.99 for these books. So the first one I got, this is book number 4 in the, I think it's pronounced Exatorn Adventures by Peggy Downing, and this is Brill and the Zinders. So this one is book number 4. These are kind of a shorter fantasy book series. There it is. And this one I paid $2.99 for, and this one usually goes for anywhere from $5 to $15. So this is not the catch of the day. But this one is. This is book number 6, the last book in the series, and this one's in pretty good condition, Brill and the Puffire Volcano. This one I saw, as of recording this video, goes on Thrift Books and eBay for $150+. I couldn't believe it. I paid $2.99 for this book, and it kind of looks awesome. I'm super excited to read these. I'm having a little trouble tracking down some of the other ones, and there are a couple in the series, like book number 2, I believe, is like $400, which I'm not going to pay $400 for a book. I'm just not going to. So I'm going to see what I can do, if I can find it anywhere. See if I did find book 1 has an audiobook version, but I'm going to see if I can find anything else. So I'm super excited to read these. I think they look really interesting. I love the vibe, kind of the 80s colors and style. So these look intriguing to me. And then I also found I don't know if this is a sci-fi series or a fantasy series, but it looks like a mix of both maybe. So this is book number 2 in the Spectrum Chronicles, and these are by Thomas Locke, and this one is called Dream Voyager. So it kind of has like a fantasy vibe, but also that's a rocket ship in the middle. So it has like a sci-fi vibe too. I don't know. I'm super intrigued to read this. I gotta find book 1 first, obviously, before I read this. I'm not making that same mistake that I did with Some of My Best Friends Are Monsters by Bruce Coville, where I read book 2 before I read book 1. It is my rule. I always follow, and I didn't follow it, and I'm so sad I didn't. So I'm following the rule. I'm going to find book 1 first. And I also got in that same Spectrum Chronicles series, book number 3, Pathfinder. See, so it has this like fantasy sci-fi vibe, and I'm curious if these are kind of going with a little bit of a Star Wars vibe, the more like fantasy sci-fi. So we'll see. This one, book number 3, looks in pretty good condition. I'm interested to read it. And then I'm always excited when I find another Shivers book, and it's one I didn't have. And this is a pretty good condition one of Shivers book number 21, A Waking Nightmare. So Shivers books are wild. They are super intense and a lot scarier than a Goosebumps book. So I'm really intrigued to read this one. It looks pretty interesting. Maybe a werewolf. Kind of looks like a werewolf, so we'll have to see. And then I finally found one. It's not a super first edition because it has a number on the spine, but I did find a first run from the original prints of the Goosebumps series of Welcome to Dead House, book number 1. This one I did not have yet, so Goosebumps book number 1, it has that tear on the front, and I'm okay with that because I didn't have the first book yet. So I'm excited to have book number 1 now. I'm getting close to completing my Goosebumps set. I believe I have 10 left. So, and most of them unfortunately are in that upper level of books, which are hard to find. So we'll see if we can find them. And then I spotted another one of the Erie, Indiana books. This is now my 3rd one I have. This is book number 3, the Erie Triangle. And it has like those, step back covers that are so interesting. I'm like, what is going on in this picture? So I'm excited to read this one and see what happens. And then I also found a copy of book number 1 of Graveyard School, Don't Eat the Mystery Meat. And that is just such a gruesome looking cover. Ooh. But I'm excited to read this. I think it's going to be really interesting. It says create your own creepy lunch menu inside. I don't even know if that's still in here or if that's like a thing in the very, very back. Oh, it does. It has a fill in the blanks of your creepy lunch menu. That's so funny. So that was exciting to find book number 1. This is only my second one of these that I have. I have book number 5, I believe, as well. And then this was an interesting series I'd never heard of before, and it's called Strange Matter, The Fairfield Triangle. This is book number 18 in the series, so it looks like another Goosebumpsy kind of thing, a little more maybe on the Erie, Indiana side, where there's like kind of some sci-fi to it than just straight up horror or fantasy horror. So this one looks kind of interesting to me. I am curious to check it out. And then I have the Christmas one of these books, but I found Secret Adventures, and I believe this is book number 2, Snap, by Nita and Dave Jackson. And these books are based on a television show that came out in the 90s called Secret Adventures, and it had like live action elements with cartoon elements. It was pretty well done. I enjoyed them pretty much, and the acting was not terrible in them. So these are pretty funny. They're novelizations of the episodes. So I have book 5, the Christmas one, and now I've got book 2, the one about the dog. That's how I remember it. And then I got 2 more in the Ladd Family Adventure books, which I have actually not read any of these, but I'm interested to read them. I believe they take place in Hawaii, and this one is The Legend of Fire, a Ladd Family Adventure. Some of these are numbered and some aren't. I'm going to have to do a little research to figure out like why are some numbered, why are some not. Was it like they were numbered later? I don't really know. So this one is The Legend of the Fire. And the next one I got was Panic in the Wild Waters. This one did have a little bit of cover damage on it, but this one, like I said, it has a number on the side, book 12. So I don't really know why they have numbers on some and not on others. So that's kind of interesting to me, but here's another one in the series. I think I have 3 of these now. And then, Jerry B. Jenkins. Pulling me in because it's in the Yukon. But this looked kind of interesting to me. It is Disaster in the Yukon. And this is part of the Global Air Troubleshooters series, book number 3. So it kind of looked interesting. I love the Yukon. I love the Aurora Borealis and all that kind of stuff. So this one, I couldn't pass it up. I had to go for it. It looks kind of fun. We'll have to see. And then the last one I got is an Australian series. I have one of these already, but this is book number 6 in the Adventures Down Under series. And this is Firestorm at Kookaburra Station by Robert Elmer. These are like adventure stories about a family living in Australia. So it kind of looks like a lot of fun. I like hot air balloon stuff, so we'll check it out and we'll see what it's like. So those are all my most recent additions that I found at the Foley Book Exchange in, I keep wanting to say Georgia, in Alabama, and I'm excited to read these books. I feel like I found some really cool ones and some new series that I didn't know about. So I'm really excited to check those out. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.